Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast. This is episode number 644. Yes, 644 consecutive days streak of writing and recording this podcast. This episode, as well as the blog post, is a message to all of you that might feel like the world is against you. Sometimes you just want to give up after a while, and you think that something just don't make sense to continue. Let me explain to you, because there are toxic things or things that really need to be stopped in life before you get yourself more damage, sadness, and disappointment. But in general, we tend to be, it's a bit cliche, but we tend to be very impatient in life. And whenever something doesn't go our way, we quickly give up. And sometimes we actually give up not far from the point where we would break even, or at least start achieving something in our life that we were expecting to. And part of it is, like, there are two parts to that thing that I discovered in myself. First is impatience, obviously, and it's quite straightforward, because we tend to be just impatient, and we have no default ability to go long term and wait for results. So that's something to blame, but that's just impatience. But there's another side of why do we not achieve anything, and it kind of fuels up our impatience and decision to seize certain actions. It's the psychological approach to managing expectations. So you most likely heard that already before, that people tend to manage expectations really bad. By bad, I mean we tend to be over optimistic about things, and even though they don't go wrong way, even if they go mediocre or average, we still think that we failed, or we don't feel fulfillment, because we set the bar so high that anything below it feels like a failure. And even if we would achieve it, it would be just something that we could accept. But in the back of our heads, we actually set the bar high, but we expect even higher results. So this in turn fuels our impatience if we don't reach anything up to that bar, and we tend to just stop doing things. And that's a very important part in doing many things in life, but especially if you're starting any business or any pursuit of something that you would like to turn into business at some stage in life. And this is what's happening to us, to be honest. We started that sauna business, so somebody built for us mobile sauna on the trailer, and we started operating it not even 3 weeks ago. Let's say technically 3 weeks ago, because this is when I brought it to Donegal town, and we did the first burn here at Morvach Beach. And we operate roughly 4 days a week, so Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. And today was one of the very strange days that you could consider not only contrasting but really paradoxical, because it's, as you can probably see, I'm lit up with the sun, which is very unusual in Ireland. And it's the first sunny and hot, pretty hot day, because it's still 22.5 degrees Celsius and it's 7:30 p.m. So it's already evening, but it's still very, very warm and it's windless. So it feels like a sauna outside even. So we were today at Rosnola, and so obviously people came up to the beach in numbers, and honestly I haven't seen Rosnola that busy over 2 years that we live in here, and we've been plenty of times to Rosnola, so you can imagine that we know it well enough to know when how busy it can be. It was packed. Well, when we arrived, it was okay. It was busy to some extent, but not that much. We arrived around noon, 1 p.m., somewhere in between, and we knew that it would be busy. So, kind of logical thing is that, okay, if you want clients, the more people will be at the beach, and the more traffic you get in front of your business, you expect, just logically, to get more potential clients popping in. But because it was a warm weather and middle of the day seemed to be more like a family time, I mean family like parents with kids, we learned a lesson that it might be hundreds of people at the beach and barely anyone pops in to even talk to you. There were a couple of nice chats that we had, but we had much worse days in terms of weather, like the cold and windy and even rainy already, that we got clients and people going to the sauna when the beach was pretty much, well, maybe not empty, but in comparison to today, it was very empty than we did today. Today we had potentially 2 clients that probably missed us by half an hour or 1 hour because we had to exit the beach because of the high tide was coming, and we wouldn't be able to drive away afterwards. We would sink. So we had to leave Rosnola and we went to Morva. And I'm at Morva at the moment. I dropped Julian and Elizabeth at home, so they are at home. I'm just myself here and trying to promote the sauna a bit because I don't expect any customers, but still being visible, and so people get used to our presence and get used to talking to us, knowing our faces, and the branding a bit as well is important. So one big lesson learned, especially on that kind of day, is that we should stick to the evenings when most of the people that go for walks are either couples or people that tend to go to the ocean in the evenings, get a swim. So these are potentially people that will be liking to go to saunas. And so that's one lesson. Second lesson is, once the beach started getting busy, we were pretty much not visible at all, because all the camper vans and other cars basically made us blended into the whole crowd, and we looked like just a private fancy hut on wheels rather than some amenity that you can use. So that's another thing that leads to the final one, the branding. We have pretty much zero branding except for 2 small leaflets laminated and stuck to the back of the sauna. So we need to be visible because people don't know if it's a business or it's some private thing. So I need to push the flag and banners to arrive soon, and so we can actually use them and get more attention from people. So my wife was very disappointed because, you know, you burn wood, you burn money, and if you don't get any clients, that's a loss. But on average, we are definitely positive, which is great. And if you don't look at this, you might get really discouraged in continuing a business like this, especially if you see so many people and nobody popping in. But I knew that there will be days where everything is against you, or not actually against you, but nothing aligns to be for you. And this was the day. It was Sunday, beautiful Sunday in Ireland that we spent at Rosnaula, and I'm currently spending at Murva. And nothing is happening really, except for nice chats and people probably following us on Instagram or Facebook and saying that they will be promoting us. Even some chats with people that we know, because I had repeated walkers that recognized me and I recognized them. We had nice chats. And also I met our neighbors from just a house beside us. So we had another nice chat as well. So it's never a failure. It's never a bad thing. The key is to manage your expectations. So expect nothing, and everything above it will be a bonus. And also, every time you have a day that you think was bad, try to dismount it and find all the key events during that day and think about them, what lesson you learned from it and what you will not repeat again in future, because this is a positive. This is a very important thing. Even if you have a day that feels like failure, it is not. It's a lesson learned. So with that, I'd like to thank you for sitting long enough for this episode and listening to the very end. I hope that you have a great rest of the day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Stay tuned and see you again.